Hello and welcome to Riffle Shuffle and Roll. My name is Mark, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Trike. Trike is a two-player print and play abstract game in which players are trying to have the most chips of their color in contact with the pawn by the end of the game. This is a really simple game with a lot of complexity in piece placement. Let's dive in and learn how to play. In order to play Trike, first you need to print off a board. This is a size 7 board that I'll have available for you, link in the description. You can also head over to Board Game Geek and print off boards of all sorts of different sizes. This board is, I think, the best size for learning the game, and as the board gets bigger, for example, let's say a size 13 board, the game becomes more complex, and for many, much more interesting. Once you have the board, each player will also need a number of chips in order to cover half the board. This is a 28 hex board, so each player here has 14 chips. And these chips just came from the game of sequence. The final thing you'll need is a neutral pawn. The neutral pawn is a shared piece that both players will move around the board. The object of this game is to have the most chips in contact with the pawn when the pawn is trapped and can no longer move. To begin the game, one player takes a red chip and places it anywhere on the board. They should think carefully about their placement because it could be their starting position. So let's say player 1 places the red chip right here. After placing the chip, put the pawn on top of it. Now, player 2 gets to decide if they want to play as red or if they want to continue the game as blue. If they decide to play as red, then player 1 will take another turn and continue the game as the blue player. For this example, we'll just say player 2 is fine with being blue, so they will take the next turn. Now, from this point on, when placing a chip to the board, that placement must be in a straight line from the pawn. So from this first placement, there are 4 spaces available down and to the right that they could play a chip onto. 4 down and to the left. There's 1 space available to the right, 1 available to the left, and then 1 available up and left. And the final space they could choose from is up and right from the pawn. Let's go ahead and have them place their chip right here. After placing the chip, you move the pawn. And now it is player 1's turn again, and they will place a red chip. Now, here, the same rules apply. They can place the chip in a straight line out from the pawn in any available space. But let's say they wanted to go up and to the left. They only have one option. They would have to place this piece between the pawn and the chip. You are not allowed to place chips beyond pieces that have already been put on the board. So, for example, putting this chip up here is illegal. You cannot hop the pawn over pieces. And let's go ahead and have red place their chip right here and move the pawn. Now, play like that will continue until the pawn is trapped, and that will end the game. Let's go ahead and watch a few more turns. Blue will go, and they're going to go ahead and bring the pawn down here. Now red will go, and they're going to bring the pawn over here to the corner. Blue will go, and they're going to shoot the pawn clear up to here. And it is red's turn again. They will bring the pawn down here. And then play like this will continue. Let's go ahead and fast forward and get closer to the end of the game. All right, here we are a little further ahead in the game. And you can see that it is blue's turn, and they have a couple options. They could place a chip here, which would end the game. But if they were to do that, red would win because red has 1, 2, 3 chips adjacent to the pawn, whereas blue only has 2, 1 right beside it and 1 under it. So that would be a losing move for blue. A wiser move for blue would be to move anywhere out here and avoid that trap. So let's go ahead and have blue move to here. Red's turn again. And play continues. Let's go ahead and jump to the end of the game. And here we are. Only a couple moves left in the game, no matter what red decides to do next. A quick analysis of the board tells you what is red's best decision. If red goes here, blue will win by ending the pawn here with 4 pieces touching that pawn, 4 to 3. Red would only have 3. If red goes here next, blue wins with 3 pieces touching the pawn and red only having 2. Red's best choice is right here. Now blue goes, and the game is over. Red has 3 pieces adjacent to the pawn. Blue only has 2, 1 and 2. So in this example, red would win the game. And that's how to play Trike. Now, if you'd like to play on this size 7 board, if you'd like to print it out and use it, the printable is free. You can use mine. I have a link for it down in the description. There are also a lot of different boards available for free over on Board Game Geek. There are also a couple different ways to play online, including Board Game Arena. I'll have links to that down in the description as well. I think you can see that a size 7 board is perfect for learning the game and teaching others, but I think you will also find that playing on a bigger board really unlocks the potential of this game. You're constantly setting up traps, trying to place your pieces in a way that when the game comes to an end, you will have worked your opponent into a corner in which you have the most pieces adjacent or coming into contact with that pawn. It's a really clever little game, and I love that it is free to play. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, the best thing you can do is subscribe, ring the bell, give this video a thumbs up, especially if you found it helpful. And if you want to go the extra mile, leave a comment down below. All of those things really help me out. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep on playing.